Good morning, everyone. This is Lynn Sugiyama speaking on behalf of the Arizona Buddhist Temple. I'd like to begin my Dharma talk by reciting a reading from the Hymns of the Pure Land Master written by Shinan Shonin. So please listen. It goes, those who hear and receive the teaching of our Master Bodhisattva Nagarjuna should be mindful of the primal vow and continually recite Amida Buddha's name. Let's put our hands together in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandaps. I want to thank all of you for continuing to watch us on our Facebook channel and also on the YouTube channel, Dharma in the Desert. I'd like to begin by telling you a story about salt and my experiences. So everyone, they enjoy a little bit of salt in their food. And I know that all the recipes that we cook for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they often require just a little bit of salt in order to make our food taste really delicious. So I know that most of us, we don't like it when our food is too bland. So I remember when I was a young boy, when I was sick, my mother, she would cook this rice porridge called okayu. And so it's some cooked rice and it's boiled in lots of water. And so it makes this gruel and it's very bland to eat. And so as a child, I didn't really like it. But now that I'm older, I can add things to the porridge to make it taste better. So when we use too much salt, what happens? Well, our food doesn't taste good because we use too much salt. So I remember I tried to cook dinner one time and the recipe required a teaspoon of salt and I ended up using a tablespoon of salt. And so it was too much salt than what was required. And so I remember that the dish I made ended up being too salty. And so no one enjoyed eating the meal I prepared with too much salt. So the lesson from this is that there's like this middle way to use salt in order to make food taste better. So when we use the salt in moderation, when we take a pinch of salt, we can make food taste really good. But if we use too much salt, it could be too salty and make our food taste terrible. So again, this is an example of this middle way to practice the Buddhist teachings. So after the Buddha had passed away some 2,500 years ago, there was a Buddhist priest. His name was Nagarjuna, and he lived in India some 2,000 years ago. And he taught this concept of the middle path to enlightenment. And so to become an enlightened person is to become aware that this life is limited and that this life is to be cherished of all else and not to be taken for granted. So we shouldn't be entangled in extreme ideas like by using too much salt. These extreme ideas will poison our mind. So we try to find this middle path, this middle course of thinking in order to be free from these extreme views and to truly understand the Buddhist teachings. So Shinan Shonin, our founder of Shin Buddhism, he really connected to the teachings of Master Nagarjuna and what he taught about this Buddhist teaching. So among the things that he taught about the middle path, he also taught that there were many paths to enlightenment. So Master Nagarjuna taught there was a difficult and then an easy path to take to enlightenment. So the difficult path was when we tried to practice like the Eightfold Noble Paths in our basic teachings of Buddhism. And so these paths are often difficult to practice because it takes a lot of self-discipline and work in order to practice those teachings. And oftentimes, especially in today's society, we really don't have time to practice it because we are working, because we are raising families, and so on and so forth. And so to practice correctly and continuously the Eightfold Path can be very difficult for us to do. But there's also this easy path that we can take. And that easy path is to recite the name of Amida Buddha. So to say Namo Amida Butsu, I take refuge in Amida Buddha, this is Amida Buddha's promise to all of us, and this is called the primal vow. And this vow, this promise states that a person who says and entrusts themselves to the Amida Buddha, they are assured a birth in the Pure Land. So when we say Namo Amida Butsu, we're able to attain our enlightenment in the Pure Land. And that is where we can attain Buddhahood. And so for us as Pure Land Buddhists, this practice of the easy path taught by Nagarjuna is profoundly amazing. However, the hard part is to truly believe, to truly entrust ourselves to this teaching of the Amida Buddha. And so in the Wasan that I stated at the beginning of my Dharma talk, Master Bodhisattva Nagarjuna taught to be always mindful of Amida Buddha and his promise, his vow to take us to the Pure Land when we say Namo Amida Butsu. And so we are able to entrust and we are able to show our gratitude to Amida Buddha by saying this Namo Amida Butsu. So this is our easy path to enlightenment and to the Pure Land taught by our teacher, Master Bodhisattva Nagarjuna. And so let's always continue to practice saying Namo Amida Butsu and to remember that there is this middle path in understanding the Buddhist teachings and to be not too extreme, but to follow in between in this middle path in order to understand the Buddhist teachings correctly. So I want to thank you for listening. In closing, I'd like to go ahead and read again from the Hymns of the Pure Land Masters by Shinon Shonin. So please listen. Let's put our hands together. Those who hear and receive the teaching of our Master Bodhisattva Nagarjuna should be mindful of the primal vow and continually recite Amida Buddha's name. Please join me in Gasho. Let's put our hands together. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Again, I want to thank you for listening. Please be healthy and please be safe. Thank you.